Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios with Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. A massive game tonight on the women's side for TCU back in the Elite Eight. They take down Virginia in the Sweet 16, 79-69, as we welcome in Nick Girimonte from Sports Illustrated, college basketball writer for TCU, and almost thought this was a typo. Olivia Miles and Marta Suarez scored or assisted on every single one of TCU's 79 points in that 10-point win over Virginia. How can you even put that into words, just their impact on the floor?
Yeah, it was unreal. First of all, thanks for having me. And it's one of those performances that, again, like you said, doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even sound right, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Like I think it's one of the greatest teammate performances in NCAA tournament history. Just every single point being scored or assisted on by two players is unreal. But that's the duo that's been doing it for TCU all year. And if there's any two teammates that would have that type of performance, it would be them.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is though they get the headlines and had such an incredible performance in the offensive end, like from a rebounding perspective and from a defensive perspective, I mean Donovan Hunter did a great job on Johnson, who had been Virginia's best player. I thought Basham and Silva did a great job of the interior with rebounding. So, they'll get the headlines, and rightfully so, based on that offensive showing, but defensively and rebounding the ball, TCU needed all five.
Yeah, yeah. That's going to be the massive thing for South Carolina is that you're not going to be able to have that type of duo performance every game. So you're going to need others to step up. But like you mentioned, like Donovan Hunter's going to guard the other team's best guard every night, and then Clara Silva is going to be the massive X factor because she's 6'7" and has all the talent in the world, but is still young and putting it together. So we'll see. And then Taylor Bigby's been making threes and having a great NCAA tournament. But it's the others, and I'm glad you brought that up because while a lot of the offense and yes, like you mentioned, the other supporting cast played roles in that Virginia game, but the others are going to have to step up to beat a team like South Carolina because with all due respect to Virginia and their Cinderella run, I think everyone knows that South Carolina is just a different monster, so they're going to need those supporting casts to step up big time.
TCU's Olivia Miles is averaging a triple-double in the NCAA tournament, 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. So of those three categories, where in your opinion has she been the most impactful for this team in this run?
Yeah, I think it's the assist. Like that's what kind of separates her from being, a good to great player. Her vision is I'd put her vision up with anybody in basketball. Her ability to come off the pick and roll, her reads are elite. Her ability to throw one-handed passes across court, skip pass, bounce pass, everything. You can't teach that, and that's why they went after her in the portal. That's why she's going to be probably a top 5 WNBA draft pick, is because that's just what's so unique and so special about her game, and her ability to set up her teammates, I think, is massive because I don't know if there's anybody else on that roster that can, or there's surely nobody else on that roster that can facilitate in the way she does. So yeah, while she's become a way better scorer this year at TCU than years past in Notre Dame, and her rebounding has been amazing, and especially to get it out quick to her so she can just board and run and go in transition. But I mean, her vision is what makes her special and what makes her so fun to watch.
It's really interesting because they're back at the same spot they were last year in the Elite Eight against a 1 seed to try to get to the Final Four. Last year was all 1 seeds in the Final Four. We expect this year to be the same. TCU's never been to a Final Four before. Set the stage for us tonight. Like, is there a path for TCU to win this basketball game?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? Because in women's basketball, the elite in like the 1 seeds are just at a different level. Like, TCU's big underdogs in this one, and rightfully so. Like when they played South Carolina last year, I think only like 5 players on both rosters played in that game, so I don't want to put too much weight into that. But you saw what happened against the elite teams. What I will say is that what's different this year is Olivia Miles is a game changer. Like she's her talent is up there with anybody in the country, which I don't think that TCU had a player as talented as Olivia Miles last season. I think they added a lot more size with Clara Silva and Kennedy Bastion, and even Marta Suarez at her size to be able to kind of move like a guard at that 4 spot is special. So I think they're better equipped than last year for sure. But I mean, South Carolina is on an elite roll. You saw what they've been doing to teams this tournament, just completely blowing out everybody they see. I think they have like 6 scores, shooting double or scoring double figures. This tournament, which is crazy, all shooting over 50%. So they're just so deep. So while I think it's a long shot, as much as I would love to see him win, they're gonna need big performances from, like I mentioned, some of the other players like a Taylor Bigby or Donovan Hunter or Clara Silva or Kennedy Basham or any of those players.
Yeah, South Carolina's been to 5 straight Final Fours. They've been to the Elite Eight. This is their 9th Elite Eight. They're 7-1 in this round under Dawn Staley, and South Carolina opens as a 13.5-point favorite. But even though they just blasted Oklahoma 94-68, they did lose to an Oklahoma team by a dozen earlier this season. Like, is there any weakness for South Carolina? Like, when you talk about the path, I see that they're massive. I see that they have 5 players scoring 11 or more points, but is there any, like, chink in their armor?
Yeah, it's tough because yes, they lost some games early on in the season, but like they've just been on such a roll recently. I just think it's gonna be like not being able to contain MC's offense, Mark Campbell's offense. It's when you have the pick and roll working and Olivia Miles is on, then I don't think anybody in the country can guard an Olivia Miles and Marta Suarez. As we mentioned before, that duo is special, and that duo has played at the elite programs with, Marta Suarez has been at Tennessee, and Olivia Miles has been at Notre Dame, and these are programs that are close to the elite, if not the elite. So, I think in that sense, just based off talent, like you can get hot at the NCAA tournament. I wouldn't look at, South Carolina as anything to exploit. I think that the size could be a small advantage. Chloe Kitts went down for South Carolina before the season, and yeah, like their subs are like their roster so deep that it hasn't seemed to matter. But I mean, anytime you have a star player like that go down and have to play through the backups, maybe you could exploit it with a Suarez and a Silva and some of that size inside.
Do you think this team is better than last year's team?
I go back and forth with that, and it's tough because they're both so good in their own right. I think this team is more talented. I'll say that, which is kind of evident with Miles and Suarez and what they're going to do in the WNBA draft. Like last season, only one player from that team played minutes in the WNBA, and that was Haley Van Lith. And that team was almost more like they were, unranked preseason and kind of not expected to be there. And it was this magical run for the first Elite Eight appearance in TCU history. And this season had higher expectations for sure. So I will say they are more talented. I will say they're better equipped to beat a team like South Carolina than last season.
Yeah, that's a great question because the comps, I mean, they're almost identical. This year's team is 32-5 and 15-3 in the Big 12. It's almost like those 3 losses felt like a little bit of a letdown, like they could have just swept the Big 12 with how talented they are. You mentioned the WNBA, Miles and Suarez. Like, where are they projected to be drafted?
Yeah, I think Olivia Miles will be a first-round pick undoubtedly with her skill, and she could have been, I think, number 2 overall. She was projected in a lot of mocks last season, but came to play for TCU, thankfully. And then I think Marta's probably a fringe first rounder right now, but if she keeps playing like she did last game and like her potential shows, I would pick her in the first round. And I think her talent, her ability to stretch the floor as a 3, her ability to handle the ball. Like, she's a guard that's 6'3" or whatever height she is. She's a guard playing the 4, and that's a rare skill set to find. All
right, what's the path to victory tonight for TCU?
It's it's Olivia Miles just controlling the game. It's her setting up, and then it's like she's gonna get Taylor Bigby good shots. She's gonna get Donovan Hunter good shots. She's gonna get Clara Silva on the roll good shots. They're gonna have to contribute. Olivia Miles has to control the game, and then TCU supporting cast has to make shots because no matter how the game goes, you're gonna get a shot in the arm from South Carolina. They're gonna go on a big run. Their defense is gonna show up big time. TCU's defense is also gonna show, or is also elite. So we'll see how they do against them. But it's the supporting cast. Like even if Olivia Miles and Marta Suarez go off, I don't know if that's gonna be enough to beat this team. And I'm gonna say you need a big performance out of one of Taylor Bigby, Clara Silva, or Donovan Hunter on the offensive end.
Nick, last thing for me, South Carolina's, the UConns, the Texas of women's basketball, and the dominance at the top. What is the next, how does TCU get there? They're close. They've been knocking on the door, back-to-back Elite Eights. But, what are the pieces that TCU or anybody from the Big 12 may be missing to get into that elite company?
Yeah, it's just, recruiting constantly. I think with TCU and specifically with that case is that they were such a bad program when Mark Campbell took over 3 years ago that he's almost had to dive into to turning this around fast with basically just portal players like Haley Van Lith and Madison Connor and Sedona Prince and Agnes Eminopu and this year Olivia Miles, Marta Suarez, Clara Silva. To build these elite programs, it's development, it's recruiting out of high school, it's building a program from within, and like you mentioned, the UConns with Gino, South Carolina, Don State, you can go on and on, Texas, UCLA, these are programs that have been built over so many years, and all these coaches have been there so many years that it takes time, and I think it's remarkable that TCU hadn't been close to an Elite Eight before. It would be unfathomable 5 years ago, and now they're looking at back-to-backs for the first time in program history, and there are only 2 appearances in program history. So these are unbelievable steps to be able to get there, but it just takes time to build a program to that elite level. But they have a golden opportunity tonight to jump in there if they can take down one of the giants in South Carolina. So it's super exciting, not just as a TCU fan in grad, but as a Big 12 fan, because they're the one Big 12 team left, and I think it would be huge for the conference as well.
Oh, yeah. It'd be massive. Nick Girimonte from Sports Illustrated, college basketball writer for TCU, joining us here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Nick, thank you so much for the insight, your time, and enjoy the game tonight.
Thank y'all for having me. I can't wait.
Nick Girimonte, college basketball writer for TCU and Sports Illustrated, joining us to preview the Elite Eight showdown with South Carolina. The 1 seed out in Sacramento starts at 9 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central tonight. TCU is the 3 seed. You can watch it on ESPN. All right, coming up next, we pivot back over to the men's side. What's next for the Iowa State Cyclones? A full recap of their Sweet 16 game against Tennessee. He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Radio.